discussion. Our panelists are already here. The panel will be about insights and opportunities, leveraging innovative MarTech to enhance your customer experience and engagement. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the moderator for today, Aleks. He is the Marketing and Advertising Non-Profit Community Lead from Forbes. Aleks, over to you.
Hi everyone, my name is Aleks. It's a very privilege to have this beautiful panel today. I work in Forbes, I write for Forbes, and I also have a startup here. You can find me in the booth there. That one is in digital advertising and ad optimization world, so it's like a very technical thing. And I'm also a university professor teaching AI. So I thought, yeah, we need to get a panel where I'll be able to touch a little bit on all this, interest of mine, so that I can ask a cool question. So one is entrepreneurship, and we get Elise from the Vertex VC. Vertex is a very famous Singapore VC, venture capitalist firm that is also backed by Temasek. And Elise, they're doing marketing and communications. So she's working with the startups. She could tell us the startup view on things, because obviously when it comes to marketing, when it comes to technology, it's not just about what is available, but also about how to make it efficient for you, what kind of budget, especially in the startup world. And we've got Clarence. Clarence is from Singlife. Everybody knows Singlife. Despite Singlife, actually Clarence has a very interesting past, because he also used to be leading marketing A-star, and also in travel business, and also in DBS. So very, very diverse financial banking, and then now he's kind of a little bit back to government, doing this digital transformation there, and the marketing stack and the sales, pretty much everything. So Clarence will be hopefully giving us the overview of how does it works for the insurance, government, banking sector when it comes to marketing, it comes to application, digital technology there. And last but definitely not least, there will be Alon. Alon is marketing director of KFC. I don't need to explain what KFC is. And I think in his case, he was very, very, lucky and unlucky to lead the company during the COVID time as well, when brick and mortar business has experienced a lot of pressure towards digitalization. And yeah, so if you're a big brand, but everything so much changed, the world changed so much, how would you address those challenges? Would you be doing the tech or the people or the boss? How do you keep your customers engaged? And I thought, well, yeah, that's definitely, we can ask Alon as well. We will keep it conversational, and I read on all the companies a little bit. I read some articles, and I've got a couple of questions. So the first question I would address to Elise, but definitely everybody can respond it, and that actually will be very interesting to know what you guys think about that. So here in Seamless Asia, we've got lots of startups, and startups need to do marketing. In fact, many of these businesses are digital or even digital first businesses. And at the same time, we have so much constraints from everywhere, from VCs, from the market. How do we do digital acquisition and marketing when it comes to startup world? How do we balance the budget? And in your opinion, generally, for smaller businesses, those businesses that are directly related, their sales directly related to digital channels, how these businesses can utilize the tech, the MarTech, to engage their customers, to maybe cut costs. Should they cut costs by AI? Would AI replace humans? What do you think about that?
Yeah, thanks for having me, and thank you all for staying for the very last panel. So I work for VC Vertex Ventures. We invest primarily at Series A throughout Southeast Asia and India. So even though we are VC, we have about 1.6 billion in AUM, but we do have a very tight budget for marketing. So I do understand, how it feels to be an entrepreneur trying to optimize your marketing spend. Yeah, so I think it really depends on what kind of business you're operating. Are you a B2C or B2B business? So for my end, we are looking at more of B2B. So in terms of MarTech innovations, it's really about looking at how less is more. So when we look at, let's say marketing on Instagram, we are always looking at, can we experiment with the content, evaluate the results, and then double down if it's working. So I think for entrepreneurs, it's really about how you can have a hypothesis, experiment, evaluate the data and outcome before investing more. Yeah, so I think it's really hard as well because as an entrepreneur, and especially a VC funded one, the instinct is always like, how do I go big from day one? Yeah, but the thing is, when you want to do that, kind of putting in, like $10,000 in 1 month, that's not going to bring you the results because every business will kind of resonate with different group of customers and all that. So I would really recommend experimenting and going small at the beginning. Then second.
And then you guys say, hey, why you're not growing fast enough? Then how?
Yeah, it's really tricky, right? So I think it's really like, I don't know, try all kind of marketing. As in, rolling out hypothesis in a short time, testing in a short time, being really kind of specific about the outcome you're seeking. Yeah, so I'm not talking about, taking 1 year to experiment. It's really a quick cycles of iteration that you will need. Yeah, and then I would, invite the other panelists to share as well, but I just want to mention the second thing, which is always market a piece of content at least 3 times. So for me, I run a podcast. It's called Hard Truth by Vertex. So we will like record with somebody impressive, like unicorn founder, for an hour. But from this hour of content, we are creating shorts. We create articles and so on, so that really each piece is giving us at least 100,000 impressions. And then when we look at Instagram, being one of our big marketing platform for our shorts, we can put in $100 and that can give us at least 15,000 views. Yeah, so think about how do you use one piece of content and market it many times instead of trying to do too many things at once.
And also you have a very strong plan and KPIs, like what you want to achieve. I guess one of the problems of the smaller companies is that they just allocate some budget on marketing and then run it and then like, oops, it doesn't work. Maybe they just did a 10% of the journey. Maybe their funnel gonna start working after a year, but they just run a few ads and then they're like, okay, Facebook doesn't work for me, Google doesn't work for me, I'm gonna do my traditional stuff, or even close the company eventually. So I think not just doing stuff, but really know where you're going, reusing the content, doing the quality content, because to the end, if you just do some weird stuff, it will backfire eventually. People wouldn't treat you seriously, you wouldn't get that customer engagement and loyalty that you want. Talking about loyalty, by the way, Alon, so you don't get VCs on board, you've got like a fixed budget, right? Like plan for at least a quarter, maybe for a year.
Actually, the budget is a percentage from the sales itself. So
yeah,
if we don't execute good enough, the marketing budget won't be high enough. So this is also a challenge because we need to evaluate everything we do monthly.
So you're evaluating your budget spend efficiency monthly, but how to do with all those metrics that are not easily quantifiable? I can evaluate cost per installing a KFC app maybe. I can even tell how much customers I brought from digital. But apart from that, what are the KPIs and what is the direction the management of big young brands are looking at actually when figuring out whether they're doing a good job, especially during COVID, when everything's changed so much?
I think this is a great question. First, I totally agree with Aleks here that content is important in storytelling, how you say it and why you say it and where you say it. Meaning, we at KFC have to adapt everything we do to the platform itself. Meaning, we're not going to do the same thing in TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc. We have to do a certain creative that's specified for the platform itself. And building content and, for example, going out from the digital world into out-of-home signs and billboards, this is a great question. How does it build the brand? So eventually, first you have research to understand if the awareness is increasing or declining. But other than that, we have, for example, in the digital world today, a lot of influencers. So influencers, it depends how you act with them. Sometimes it's through you give them a brief, and eventually they're like a media. How much they're gonna get, what is the reach, what is the impressions they're gonna get. But I think differently that they need to work on selling the product itself. Meaning, I'm not gonna test them only on the amount of impressions they got or the amount of sales they got to the brand. If it's through the funnel, for example, it's a delivery, it's downloading the app, etc. But if I'm going back to your question, like the traditional commercials, how do you measure it? We have research like twice a year to understand if we got a better job or not a good job. But also something that I think is very crucial in the funnel itself is the PR. I don't know if a lot of brands are working with PR, but if you're working well with PR, you can get tons of word of mouth, even bigger than influencers themselves. And this is like when I look at the 360 marketing budget and also journey for the customer itself, this is how we aim to measure it and eventually bring results.
And what is the key drivers for you, Clarence? How do you do that in Singapore?
Yeah. Hi everyone. So I'm going to spend a bit of time talking about performance-driven marketing and data analytics because I'm passionate about that. Right. So from the top of the funnel, right, in financial services, for example, we need to be very clear about what is the cost per acquisition. Because if you kind of like, got limited budgets, and whether this is for VC or a challenger brand or established brand, you kind of raise your hand and say, say £100, $1 million, for example, for whatever campaign revenue product. You need to know how many people you want to acquire and are these people profitable. Because if these people are not profitable, the more you acquire, guess what? You're just kind of burning money down the drain, right? So that's number one. Number two, it really depends on whether the organization has some sort of a science or data analytics to tell you what the customer lifetime value is. So take for example KFC. It's not going to be a one-time customer. He loves KFC chicken. He's going to come back, I don't know, every week, every month. It could be, I don't know, some people might do it and watch football.
Actually, the results is twice a month.
Yeah, twice a month.
I don't do it every day.
It looks like I might be one of the weirdos that can eat it weekly, right? But that's just me. I like the singer. But anyway, yeah. So what is the customer lifetime value? Because your evaluation of your budgets and the efficacy of the budget shouldn't be on one-time purchase. It needs to be amortized over time, right? And then finally, I must say that Alon made a great point about PR. We've got stuff that's paid. Remember that the stuff that's earned and owned as well. So that's free marketing, right? That you kind of like don't really need to pay except for put some, elbow grease to put out a press release, put out super creative, for example. And today, with AI and everything, there are a lot of platforms and tools that you can do it on your own or on the cheap, right? There's this thing which we use called AVE, advertising value equivalent. And if you put on something on viral on TikTok or Instagram, for example, that's free marketing for you, right? And typically these things, the algorithms of these social platforms brings that to untapped audiences. So people who may not even be, for example, I've got checks who say I don't want to eat fast food. That's not me, right? I want whole foods only, right? And there's a misinformed opinion, by the way, right? So. The platform, if you know how to milk it, right, the algorithm will bring it to untapped audiences that you don't want. So that's your halo effect. So when you combine together advertising value equivalent, be able to put together the data analytics that talk about, what is the cost per acquisition, and put together a customer lifetime value. That's a pretty strong business case, right? The likelihood that next time round, if you have $10,000, you can raise your hand and say, can we go 15?
I'm going to challenge you now. you mentioned something I have met so many times in Asia especially. So you're talking about analytics and it's also about figuring out the lifetime value of the customer, which is a really great idea. But some of the businesses, including insurance businesses, have a very complicated funnel, so when digital is just a very small part of the journey, and after that you're going to have sales engagement, and there's some conversion in your CRM might happen, then maybe some upsell or repeated sales will happen in your CRM over pretty lengthy time. How can you attribute that, and how can you make sure that all the things actually considered when you're doing your next quarter media planning, when you're choosing the partner or the tool? Do you even have any tool that can actually reliably do this? My experience is that for most of the businesses that dream about proper performance marketing and do lead generation, they always say, my conversion is not good. And they always want to improve conversion. But to improve conversion, they think that probably I can improve my targeting. But targeting means nothing in digital because it's not more than just an AI label that Facebook decided that you belong to. So you're gonna just drive this whole advertising campaign into a random direction and eventually hit the wall unless you do the tracking and attribution. So how do you do it?
It's a great question. So I think many marketeers, whether in-house or if you're kind of an entrepreneur, are faced with limited budgets and where do we put our monies to best work, right? So I had a bit of a play with SOMIN, and then this is what Aleks is the brains behind the platform, right? So the optimization of the budgets, if you can run it on, I don't want to say like AI and ML for the sake of, because that's a very common use term, but the fact of the matter is these things work at speed and it's always on at 24/7. So if you're able to have a platform, whichever analytics platform, that is able to bring you that value to say, hey, this is what your competitor brand may be doing. What is working? What is Instagrammable? What is getting the clicks? What is getting the conversions? Then you'll be able to react because information is power. That's number one, right? And then number two, about phasing again, then these things can also look back and say, the platforms can also look back and say, hey, for example, in Singapore and Chinese New Year, please don't do advertising because you'll be up against all the big guys with the sales, with the reunion dinners, with selling you anything from furniture to a car, right? So it's a crowded space. If you've got expensive, if you've got big budgets, go for it. If you have limited budgets, hang on and do the organic stuff, right? And the final thing I'll say is, in regards to the value of a click, right? In attribution, right? In the past, it was always based on last click attribution. I would always encourage progressive marketers to think about it as multimodal.
You're tempting me, man. You're mentioning things I'm going to talk forever now.
Yeah, multimodal attribution, right? So it really doesn't matter whether somebody buys KFC or invests in something, buys an insurance product. If he or she is not on a last click, what we call straight through process, quote buy is your journey. You could watch a video, it could be on YouTube, it could be on brand page, you could be engaging with the content. Make sure you have the tracking mechanisms in place. Even better if you have a platform that tracks that automatically for you. So every Monday when you go to the marketing director or the CFO or equivalent, you say, hey, this is the number of clicks I have, the conversions, at the top of the funnel, the impressions, and this is how much the people let me bring in. Then you have a degree of confidence. It comes down to two things, right? Finally, it comes down to conviction, because with this, it no longer is like, I think, but let's look at the stats. And then, the second thing that will happen then is confidence, because then you feel confident. I'm not asking for 10,000 on customer training brand, because the platform and the data analytics says so.
Talking about last click, oh my god, that is such a big question everybody talking about. So a quick story, right? We had the search engines. Search engines, in search engines, you search for something, you click on the ad, and then you hopefully will become a customer. That's why it's the last click. Now, think about banner ads, programmatic ads. You don't click on those ads, you see them 100 times, eventually you go organically and convert. Or you might come to the website and convert after some time. However, marketers still think that I'm only going to track what is available in my Google Analytics, which is Google technology, which is the search engine, which is the last click. Well, they do it better with predicted attribution recently, but still. So, and this brings the whole point. Marketing technology is good, cool, helpful, yes. But how about the knowledge, the people aspect of it, and the gap that is very often exists between the MarTech stack, the tech there, the platforms we are using, and the mindset and the marketers in a company or even in an agency who are still relying on their gut feeling. Open question, did you guys face it in your companies that technology is good but people just cannot catch up with it? And from another perspective, if people cannot catch up with the technology, what would that mean in the long term? Technology gonna replace them? Technology going to complement them? What needs to be done in order to marketers and technology go actually together and grow together? Any thoughts on this?
I can comment for all businesses, but I think for venture capital investors or mainly B2B, it sometimes quite difficult for the technology to replace everything, because for VC, for example, people are everything. They are our customers, they are our investees, and all that. So there is a very important component, which is the offline component, that we need to kind of drive thought leadership. We need to be able to make sure that our brand is sticky and so on. So I think in most businesses, while there are a lot of MarTech tools, the important thing is always about the strategy. It's about what works specifically for your business, and you need at least somebody experienced to be doing it. So for me, I'm not. To be honest, I'm not a trained marketer, but I do operate on some principles that work. So for example, we talk about attribution. I believe that somebody had to see an ad or something about the same product 5 times before they are converted. They will make a decision, because they literally had to go through the different stages, right? The awareness, the consideration, and finally making the purchase. So with that, then we think about how can we be omni-channel, and then if we are omni-channel, then how do we segment the different users along their journey, and then being able to ultimately make sure they pitch to us when they are raising their funding at Series A, which could be 12 months later, which could be a year, or 2 years later. So it's like this whole series of activities that we have to do all the time.
Yeah, right. When I heard about the Asia entrepreneur founders network that you're leading, the community that you lead, that was maybe more than a year ago, and I heard it from a friend, and then I bumped into you in an event, and then another community invited 2 of us, and after that I finally joined one of your events. Eventually I get inspired. I have my own marketing Mondays I'm doing every month from a very similar concept. But how many touches there were, actual interactions between us? The ads are a very, very similar thing. But that's the digital. And how about those traditionally brick and mortar businesses? Are the ads enough to grow your business during COVID or not COVID? How did it change?
I have an interesting story. When TikTok arrived, at the moment, I thought it's mostly for kids. So I don't want to be part of
Kids grow up.
Yeah, exactly. So why do I need to go to this platform? But eventually I had a really good agency that told me, listen, you have to go in, because then you will see that the ROI in TikTok is going to be much higher than any other platforms. So as a marketeer, because you asked earlier, like, is technology going hand to hand with marketeer? So my answer is definitely yes, because eventually I'm working all of my career B2C. So in my eyes, I'm the consumer. I want to know everything about the consumer journey and how they behave with the consumer. So if my customers, the consumers, are going into TikTok, I open a TikTok account, then I learn how to use the platform, and eventually how the algorithm works. So I will be able to analyze the data which I got from the agency, and then have more insights and strategy ideas around it. So technology works hand to hand with marketing because the consumers are already there. For example, if you want to order something, most of the time, first thing you're gonna do, you're gonna either Google or different search engine, but then you're gonna look reviews and different things about the product itself. So you're already starting your customer journey with the brand through the digital world. So if we don't have enough, let's say, storytelling and brand awareness in the digital world, it doesn't matter what we're gonna do in the outside world. For example, television, commercial, radio, and out of home. So when it works together, then the awareness is increasing by time. Also, you ask like, how do you manage the omni-channel? The omni-channel is, think about you guys, okay? If you want to order something online, doesn't have to be KFC or insurance even. When you start your journey through getting insurance, you're gonna read a lot of things, so you already started your journey. Same thing in KFC or same thing in different product. Eventually, you have to understand what is the journey you're gonna have and how the last click, for example, when you want to purchase it. Are you feeling confident enough in your choice? So this is the work of the marketeers behind the scene, so you will get confidence enough to get the last click and order it.
Any other opinions?
I'll just add one final observation. I think it's really important today to engage your customers, whether prospective or current, on your own time, on their own time and on their own terms, right? So I always say the best time to buy, it's not your opening hours, it's not when my branch is staffed or not when, a brick and mortar store is open, right? The best time to buy is any time. When the person could be waiting for a bus, waiting for his coffee, or even, I don't know, in the middle of, doing an errand run, right? The best time to speak to them, again, is not our time, it's not the marketeer's time, it's not the platform's time. You're not buying, for example, a Super Bowl ad that comes on for 30 seconds and it's at a certain time, you kind of don't turn on the TV and you miss it. The best time is any time, the best place is any place. I like to pull out my handphone and say, with the rise of the mobile phone and all your platforms, right, it's any time. So the customers that, whether it's 5 times of exposure as to impression, or a word of mouth through PR, or an excellent customer journey experience at a brick and mortar store, it's really on their own time and own terms. So the earlier marketeers and brands and even the C-suites of the organizations realize this, the better it is. And the more you can put data and analytics to that using a powered AI platform, for example, where you can, take the guesswork out of it, right? So you will be able to see the time bands that people respond. Guess what? People might be hungry at 2 a.m. People might be worried about protecting their lives from critical illness, and because that keeps them up at 3 a.m. in the morning, someone in the family has gotten a bad diagnosis because of critical illness. And those are not regular working hours. You won't have a financial advisor, you wouldn't have a KFC that's open, you wouldn't have someone who is, there to speak to you. But with mobile, with social platforms, it's always on. You just need to be able to kind of pivot and say, okay, this is there, it's TikTok, doesn't look great in the beginning, but look what's happening, and have the platforms and tools and management to I guess, monetize that.
We noticed that in the ad as well. For different brands, for different countries, and different industries, talking about B2C at the moment. We noticed that there are certain days when customers convert like 3-5 times better as compared to other days. For different, for example, wellness apps. When people try to lose weight, the gold season is the so-called Q5, in the end of the year, and all those New Year resolutions. And we also have this on a weekly basis, even the time of the day when tired mothers might start ordering stuff for their newborn babies after baby falls asleep, or some employees start doing food orders, obviously during the lunchtime, just sometime before that, or maybe ordering a taxi going back home a few hours before they actually go over to get a pool or something like this. So the behaviors of people, they are very, very seasonal and very time-based. So I challenge you all in the audience, go back to your team or to your agency and tell them, is it my conversions are uniform, my traffic is uniform across the year, across the week, and make sure that they don't say yes, because it's almost never no for any single company. And I think this is what everybody should understand. But you know, that's ads. That's more or less more than digital advertising. The way the younger generation of marketers, almost data scientists, doing. However, big companies with good leaders like Singlife, and I think you guys are really doing really well in the latest months. You just turn it all upside down and you are running this campaign, which is about financial freedom for Singaporeans through the Singlife. So you got an agency from the UK, a creative agency, to come up with a concept to encourage Singaporeans to, think about their financial freedom and back it up. And you just got 3,000 individuals, PR Singaporeans, and you talk with them. There's no clicks, there are talks. So what is the role of this traditional basic marketing staff training in organization success? And how you guys, all of you, in startups, in KFC, and in Singlife, based on this particular example, balances? My head of product in my company, he's a traditional marketer. He always tells me, Aleks, you're just ads, you're just optimizing things, you're just looking for performance. Think about brands, think about the story. And I'm learning this on the way. But you with all this background and big brands, how do you balance this? To stay innovative, but to make things meaningful and deep in the marketing. And
Okay, I'll chime in a quick one, alright? Because I don't want to, be too long-winded. But I think some things don't change. One thing which I learned in my career is don't go against the winds of change, right? So there are some things which are universal truths. I'll speak for financial service and insurance. People will care about their life. People will care about their protection, right? That's the bedrock. You want to protect yourself, you want to protect your family, you can give them a good life, right? So these things will not change. So in developing something that will be relevant for any financial services company or bank, for example, make sure you stay true to them. Try to turn it upside down by using, a new value proposition, using good marketing technology to make sure that the ads get served to the people that matter across different personas. Number two, one very important thing is really just think about how you can make use of trends that are existingly successful. Let's take Valentine's Day for example, right? The Chinese version, alright, or maybe oxymoron of it is 11/11, they call it 双股, right, in Chinese. So then that spawned 11, 22, 33, 1st of January, 2nd of February, 3rd of March, 4th of April, etc. Nobody thought that would work for a serious product like banking and financial services. But the conversions on these days, because it first started e-commerce, it catapulted. So I would have highest visits to the website, conversions, purchase of car insurance, travel insurance, endowment plans, whatever that I put on, basically it spikes on these specific days in a month. And that was previously unrelated to my category of business at all. So these are winds of change that have come, be open to it, right? Putting on the logical hat of still developing that value proposition that you think still sticks based on universal truths of protecting lives, protection for critical illnesses, etc. But open-minded towards the trends which I said, again, don't fail against the
golden words, put a logical hat. Creativity is great, but not enough. Nowadays, you have to be logical. You have to work on the data. Do you think so? What do you think?
Yes, I totally agree with that. And recently, I've been doing consultation for SMBs, small medium enterprises, and eventually, what I learned about that, you need to go back to the basic. Meaning, what is strategy? What are your products? What is your main advantage against the competition? What is the added value you bring to customers? And once you have that sorted out, then all the funnel itself and the creativity is getting more organized. And I agree with Clarence what he said earlier. I mean, when you do it And you know, sometimes I don't know what you guys are doing, but if you're doing the same role or a different role for several years, you're getting used to what you guys are doing. So every time, explore again and think what the consumer thinks about you and how you can change the mindset that these guys are doing or thinking about. Another thing about that is like the creativity, what Alex just said, it's the key eventually. Because if you're gonna see something boring, you're not gonna remember it, you're not gonna wanna click on it, and you're not gonna wanna buy it eventually. And for example, you said about Super Bowl. Super Bowl, just brands invested $30 million for 30 seconds. Okay, think about it. This is like old school. How do they know that somebody didn't go to the bathroom in the same 30 seconds? How did they know that they invested $30 million on
Quite
it?
a number of people for sure did.
Of course, only in media. I mean, don't think about the production. So when big brands taking this kind of a gamble, it's a gamble. Let's be honest. They're getting more data and analytics from YouTube and digital, and not from the TV commercial which they did. So when I compare like all-time commercials against digital, and if I had $30 million, I can tell you guys, probably I wouldn't put my money on the Super Bowl ad for one time out of, I think it was 50 or 60 different commercials.
Now, a really quick one, elevator pitch on B2B marketing.
No, I think I won't be able to do that. But I just want to mention something that wasn't really touched on. So I think the holy grail of marketing is really about brand advocacy, about customer loyalty. So I also want to mention that these days, community is so important as an element of marketing. And community is think of it where it's people who use your products, but there is also self-help, among this community. There is a way for you to directly reach out to them whenever you have a new product launch or, just a gathering, for example. And then lastly is also being able to capture, being able to have that automatic portion where, they keep coming back to you, to your brand, and commenting about it and getting more into the network. So I think that's something that, sometimes is overlooked.
So for your B2B portfolio, is it traditional enterprise sales and community that works the most? Because everything we discussed with B2C, pretty much. What's the difference? What do you see? You have both C's and B's in your portfolio. What are the skills? What's the difference? What's the tech they use?
Good question. I would say that we can't do one thing and not the other. I feel that PR, appearing in the news, being able to be a thought leader has been so important for us. We have in the last 2 years had over 20 columns in the Business Times, and we can see really great results with that. But at the same time, when we do community events or we basically run our community on Slack, for example, that has given us tremendous results as well. So it's like I say, it's really difficult in terms of not looking at omni-channel. I really think that to be top of mind, because our is such a drawn game, we really have to go through different channels.
I think so, and I think that's the difference in B2B marketing, which we are doing as any B2B company. It has to be very well customized to a particular personas you are targeting, and you have to be really, really good in defining those personas. It's just like what Alon said just now. You really need to know who you are actually working with, right?
I want to say when I think about B2B and B2C, eventually we're all consumers. So the personas themselves need to be differentiated, not through the product itself, through what makes them apart. And I don't know you guys know what Aleks is doing, but they're doing a great job on making personalities or personas differently in marketing and in digital. And I think B2B and B2C works in the strategy quite the same in this particular area.
We are touching that on our recent wipes of these LLMs. We think that large language models, also GPTs, they are really good in diving in the communication. So we don't really want humans do competitive reviews or dive deep in what ads others are running. We just let machine doing this, and so far it's very successful. Very much recommended. I hope that this panel have inspired you to think differently about what you do. The whole purpose of it was to get marketers with very different backgrounds, yet very experienced in what they do, so that you can see a different sides of this coin and measure it and try it on your business, whether what you do is what you used to do, or whether what you do is what you should do. So I'll leave you with this question. Thank you very much. It was really a pleasure.
Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure. Chris.
Thank you. Are there questions on the floor?
Hi, thank you so much for the discussion today. I think we heard a lot about like the cornerstones of good marketing, things like seasonality, things like community, all of these North Stars. I think what I'm really curious to hear about is if you look ahead to the next, say, 1 to 2 years, and you were to think about one upcoming technology that you think might be groundbreaking in how you think about performance or brand marketing, like what is that underlying technology that you haven't seen before that you think will change the paradigm of it? Or if there is none that you see upcoming, that would also be interesting.
And which next MarTech startup you're going to invest? Tell us.
Yeah, that's secret. But I would say that recently OpenAI have been able to create videos really based on what you described, and I see that as really a breakthrough because you have no idea how much time you spend on editing the video and trying to really get the storytelling right. So we have to use the buzzword Gen AI or AI this stage, right? But this is really truly going to change the paradigm.
And to add to that, these things also need to be controlled well, because I guess if I'll just give some software like the recent OpenAI model or even ChatGPT, GPT-4, whatever, to Alon or to Clarence, and I say, hey, can you just use it straight away? Can we generate 1,000 copies and images and just push it? No ways they're going to let me do this. So technology must be also relevant to the current business framework. And I guess the real breakthrough in Gen AI that's going to happen, that we should really watch for, is when Gen AI will become controllable enough that they don't generate just random creative stuff, but they will generate something that is actually aligned with our brand book and can be actually used as assets. And we can trust it. And it wouldn't be any jeopardy that compromise, that would be violent, and all other things. Sam Altman is working so hard since June last year. Anything else?
I'll add on, I think data management platforms are going to be the next big thing, right? So leverage third party, second party, first party being yourself. So make sure you have a single stack customer view, like when is the last time he's interacted with the social media page, has he left a like, has he engaged, has he a recurring stalker of your page, for example, this first party data, right? You need to have that 360 view. How many times has he bought a KFC meal, how many product holdings does he have, financial services, insurance, for example. Second parties, right, through partnerships. So for example, Singapore Airlines, they do it with the KrisFlyer app. They have different parties, so they share data in that sense within a non-PII data, non-personally identifiable data pools of different personas. So they have people who are business travelers, leisure travelers, people who travel to Southeast Asia or business, go to Europe. You get the gist, right? Third party, right? Third party data, right? And this sometimes you rent from data management platforms or you kind of scour it yourself, but try to get them to your site, try to get them to your social platforms. That becomes first party. You no longer need to buy. So the Amazons of the world do this. People like you, people who are interested in banks have like ideas and solutions for you. So that's all. It expands your reach exponentially. So instead of having, let's say you've got a target of 100,000 with first, second, third party data, it can become 1 million.
My takeoff is personalization. Eventually, we see it coming for the past 2 years, but I think it's going to increase dramatically because eventually people would like to see something which is adapted to what they want. So personalization is going to be tremendous trend for the next at least 3 years. And I think email marketing, when a lot of people thinking that it's really a cheap tool, nobody looks at that, and it's a free data, first party data, like you said. I think it's going to be more expanded through time. And also I think WhatsApp as a platform eventually going to start doing personalization commercials and ads. So this is something I'm looking to the future.
Luckily, you're not going to 3D print your food in KFC. That's already good news. Any other questions? Everybody wants to go home. The last session. Thank you very much. It was really great. Thanks for staying with us so late. And really have a very, very nice evening.
Thank you very much, guys.
Good evening, guys.
Again, thank you, Clarence, Elise, and Alon. So we'll come to the end of this theater, which I'll hold you guys back much longer. I'll see you guys tomorrow if you are here. Hope to see you tomorrow. Remember to bring your badge along as well. Have a good evening. Thank you.